Right, James, I'd like to fill this 24-hour dietary recall in for me, please. So over the next 24 hours, I'd like to record everything you eat and drink as accurately as you possibly can. I'd also like you to record or write down your height and weight so I can work out your BMR and your total calories that will be needed.
Thank you.
Right, as you can see, James has successfully recorded his 24-hour recall for me. By him doing this, I've been able to work out his basal metabolic rate, which is 1,817. After taking his activity levels into account, I've worked out the total calories James will need is 2,538. So just by having a quick look at James's diet over the last 24 hours, it looks pretty good. Eating a lot of really healthy foods. By speaking to James, this diet of his is all based around his goals, which is to build lean muscle mass by eating healthy and working hard in the gym. Just a quick summary of James's basal metabolic rate and calories. So his 24-hour recall shows that after working out his basal metabolic rate and then his total calories needed, with him being active more than 3 times a week, suggests his calorie intake was just over by 26 calories, which in this case is scientifically called a calorie surplus, which means he's eating more calories than needed or recommended. After looking at James's 24-hour recall, it suggests that his fat levels are lower than the recommended guidelines, resulting in him needing to eat more fats as part of a healthy, balanced diet. According to the British Nutrition Foundation 2017, the national UK fat maximal daily intake for adults is 95 grams. This indicates that James's is more than 40 grams under the maximal. To back up the point being made about fats, the NHS 2017 state that the recommended daily fat intake for adults is 70 grams. This shows that between the two organisations that the average adult should consume between 70 and 95 grams of fat per day, which also indicates that James isn't eating enough fat. The British Nutrition Foundation later tells us, although having less fats is proven to prevent the development of obesity, which increases the risk of developing conditions such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes and cancer, which is obviously a positive, by not having enough fats can affect your energy levels, as the fats in food give you energy. A study carried out by Neville 2013 found out that cardiovascular disease rates are high in the UK, particularly in men, and are related to dietary fat intake. This backs up the point being made about consuming too many fats. So as discussed, it is important to get the right balance of fats to help prevent risks of disease, but also enable you to have enough energy, which in this case James needs to be able to really work hard in the gym. So just a little bit of advice for James. As your goals are to be gaining lean muscle mass by weightlifting, by adding in good healthy fats to your diet, you will have more energy to train harder and better. But also the fats you will be consuming will be high in protein too, which is obviously a muscle growth enhancer. So just a little bit of advice on good fats to eat. We're talking about nuts, red meats, omega-3 fats, which comes from your oily fish, avocados, and also coconut oil. Right, moving on to proteins. The NHS 2017 stated that the recommended daily protein intake for adults is 50 grams. Looking at James's 24-hour dietary recall, his protein intake was over by more than 4 times the recommended daily intake. Campbell et al. 2007 states that vast research supports the contention that individuals engaged in regular exercise training require more dietary protein than sedentary individuals. Protein intakes of 1.4 to 2 grams per kilogram for physically active individuals is not only safe but may improve the training adaptations to the exercise training. This suggests that as James takes part in regular exercise, he should consume between 106.6 grams and 152.4 grams of protein per day to help muscle recovery and encourage muscle growth. Taking all this into consideration, James' intake is still a lot more than 2 different recommended guidelines. So, just going to look at some side effects of a high protein diet now. We've got kidney problems, and according to the National Kidney Foundation 2017, eating too much protein may stress kidneys and contribute to pre-existing kidney problems, high levels of protein in the urine and kidney stones. Getting plenty of exercise and drinking plenty of water can help the kidneys flush waste out of your system more effectively. As your dietary recall suggests, you need to be drinking more water anyway, so this should have an impact on you drinking more water. Another side effects of high protein diet is low calcium, heart problems from animal proteins, and cancer from animal proteins. And according to the Daily Telegraph 2014, people who eat diets rich in animal protein carry similar cancer risk to those who smoke 20 cigarettes each day. Instead of eating animal meat for a source of protein, you could introduce corn into your diet to replace meats. Another side effect of a high protein diet is gout. So just a little bit of advice on your protein. Lower your protein portion sizes to lower risk of side effects, which we've talked about. And like I've mentioned, swap your animal protein, such as chicken, for protein like corn and maybe protein supplements like protein shake. Right, the last thing I analysed after looking at James's 24-hour dietary recall was water. According to the European Food Safety Authority 2010, they recommend an intake of 2.5 litres of water for men and 2 litres of water a day for women when participating in low levels of activity. Although the European Food Safety Authority suggests the above, the NHS 2017 indicate we should have around 1.2 litres per day, which is around 6 to 8 glasses. Looking at James's dietary recall indicates he isn't meeting the guidelines as he's consuming over 250 millilitres less than the recommended. In addition, he is an active person, therefore, when at the gym or doing exercise, he'll be losing body fluid, which will increase chances of becoming dehydrated. The new Health Advisor 2017 stated that you may need to drink more than you normally do before, during and after physical activity. So just looking at some side effects of not drinking enough water, it's dehydration, stomach ulcers, reduced muscle mass, which can affect James's goal as he wants to be gaining lean muscle mass. This should motivate him to drink more water than he is doing. Constipation and digestive problems is also a side effect, and joint pain, which again can have an effect on James's goal. If he's got sore joints, he might not be able to lift as much in the gym. So also just some signs of dehydration: dark yellow or brown urine, dry mouth, few or no tears when crying, headache, increased thirst, muscle tiredness and sleepiness. So just some advice on your water intake, James. Drink more water with your main meals. So for example, instead of drinking 250 millilitres, just increase it to 350 millilitres or 400 millilitres. Another bit of advice: if you don't like drinking water, you can just introduce some cordial or squash, obviously, so it tastes that little bit nicer, and also you're going to stay hydrated. and make sure you drink plenty of water before you train, like while you're training and after you're training.
Right, Matty, I'd like to fill in this 24-hour dietary recall for me, please. Basically, all you've got to do is record everything that you eat and drink over the next 24 hours as accurately as you can. I'd like to write down your height and weight as well, so I can work out your BMR and your total calories needed.
Right.
Is that alright?
Yeah, no problem, thank you.
Right, so as you can see, Matty has filled his 24-hour dietary recall in for me. By him doing this, I've been able to work out his basal metabolic rate, which is 2,230, and also he's taken into account his activity levels. I've been able to work out the total calories Matty will need, which is 2,899. So just having a quick look at Matty's diet. At first glance, doesn't look too healthy, to be honest. Eating a lot of bad food, such as like your pizzas, crisps, and some chocolate as well in there. So it'll be good to start to analyse and compare these to recommended guidelines. Right, so by speaking to Matty, his diet is all based around his goal, which is losing weight by eating healthy and exercising a few times a week. Looking at it, his basal metabolic rate and his calorie intake, Matty's 24-hour recall shows that after working out his BMR and then his total calories needed, with him being fairly active, exercising between once and twice a week, suggests his calorie intake was under by a massive 1,247 calories, which in this case is scientifically called a calorie deficit, which means he's eating nowhere near enough calories as advised. Although this may be a way of losing weight, it isn't a healthy way of doing so, as he isn't consuming enough calories. So just a bit of advice on that, Matty. You really need to increase your calorie intake by obviously eating more food to get to the advised daily calorie intake. But increase the amount of exercise per week to help burn calories to lose weight in more of a risk-free, healthy manner. Right, so looking at the carbohydrates in Matty's diet, after studying Matty's dietary recall, it indicates that he's only consuming 238 grams of carbs, which isn't enough for a healthy, balanced diet. According to the NHS 2017, as part of a healthy, balanced diet, an adult's recommended carb intake is 260 grams. They also later state that carbohydrates should be the body's main source of energy in a healthy, balanced diet. In addition, Livestrong 2017 tell us carbohydrates should make up between 40% and 60% of your calories each day, with most of your carbohydrates coming from healthy sources such as fruit, vegetables, grains and cereals. Looking into Matty's recall, it shows that a lot of his carbs aren't coming from healthy sources. The Low State University 2011 informs us that carbohydrates help the body use fat as an energy source. This indicates if Matty isn't eating carbs from good sources such as pasta, it will encourage his body to use fat sources for energy, resulting in him losing fat, which potentially, as we've said, is Matty's goal. So just look at some side effects of not eating enough carbohydrates. Digesting, you're going to struggle to digest food, and it also uses protein for fuel. According to the Lower State University 2011, carbohydrates spare the use of protein as an energy source. This suggests that if Matty isn't eating enough carbs, the exercise he does take part in, his body will use protein as an energy source instead of helping build and repair your body after exercise. A little bit of advice from Matty then on the carbohydrate front. Add foods that contain carbohydrates such as pasta, bread, potatoes and rice, which, as we've said, are a healthy source of carbohydrate. Although Matty is getting a fair amount of carbs, the foods he's getting them from are high in fat. By replacing these sorts of food, such as pasta, for more healthier carbs, such as wholemeal bread, will increase his energy levels and lower his fat intake, resulting in being able to do more exercises or for longer and lose more weight due to the less fat intake. Livestrong 2017 state carbs are actually an essential nutrient that creates a form of energy called glucose, which Harvard School of Public Health describes as a universal energy source. This backs up the point being made about eating extra carbs from good sources, as it will result in him having more energy, which enables him to do more exercise more frequently, which again can help. Moving on to water, we're going to compare everything to the same guidelines as what we did with James. We're looking at Matty's dietary recall. It indicates he isn't meeting any of those guidelines, as he's consuming over 1 litre less than the recommended. Again, some side effects: dehydration, stomach ulcers, reduced muscle mass, constipation and digestive problems, and joint pain. The same signs of dehydration again: some dark yellow or brown urine, dry mouth, few or no tears when crying, headache, and increased thirst. And the advice is exactly the same, that is what I gave to James. You need to drink more water with your meals. So again, instead of drinking 200 millilitres, you need to up that to 350 millilitres, 450, as much as, try and up it as much as you possibly can, because you're not drinking anywhere near enough. If you don't like water, introduce cordial or squash, which obviously it tastes that little bit better, so you want to drink more. And when you do your exercise, make sure you're drinking plenty of water before training, when you're training, and after training as well.